So another, it may come in handy, it may not come in handy, but just you can see here some kind of a summary numbers, right? So these are actually user defined. There are certain functions that we can add here, like minimum, max, count, and if it is a number, it will also allow to add, for example, gross amounts. So it will allow to add some average, min, max, count. So it will allow to add those figures. It can be added and it can be reviewed here. It may come in handy. That's why I wanted to touch upon those. So those are the typical features that this system has. And I just wanted to ask one thing: have you guys worked on any other, or have you guys reviewed any client where any other ERP is used other than Tally before, like SAP, Oracle? Okay. Okay. Now the reason that I asked is, no, that's okay. It's not a. The reason I asked that question is, so there is a concept of header and lines in any ERP, unlike in Tally. So in Tally, it is a single screen, everything enters like that. But in any traditional ERP, there is a concept of a header and lines. Like for example, if there is a purchase order, all the details relevant to the purchase order, like purchase order number, vendor, all these will be in the header. But whereas the products you are purchasing will be in lines, because maybe I might be purchasing three products: cement, steel, and aggregates. Each one has a different GST, each one has a different product code, and each one might have a different rate. Okay. So to capture, to facilitate, to capture all that, usually there is a header and a line concept in here. So here also we have the same concept. In purchase invoice screen, there is a header. So what you see here, the top part of the section, like purchase invoice, this is the header part, and what you see at the bottom are all the lines, or it's like a subset or secondary details of each line. So this will get enabled only once you select a header record, because that's why if you see, as if I refresh, as soon as if you don't select anything, it won't show any. So as soon as you start selecting any record, it will show that relevant lines. And similarly, each line may have different taxes, and this is a consolidated tax screen. And these are an unused one, so we have kept it because it is a out of the box ERP. So in future we may start using these. And there is a payment plan as well. Currently we don't have complicated payment plans. It's always a single payment, uh, and we have maybe 15 days, 30 days, whatever are the payment terms. Accordingly, the payment plan gets created. And if in case any reversal of that invoice happens, so sometime we created a GST invoice, but in the next month we had to, our vendor had to uh, reverse it. Maybe let's say the product is not good, so we had to return the whole amount. So in rare cases we might have to reverse the invoice. So if a reversal is done through system, as in through an automated mode, there is a link. You can always see the reversal invoices here. Exchange rates are not used because we are currently operating only in INR currency. And the last tab is maybe more relevant for you guys. This actually shows the complete accounting entry of any invoice. So it has a separate tab based on all the line details, and accounting entry gets generated. We'll go through all these tabs one by one. So that is the basic structure of a bill. And here you can see one other important aspect is, we refer to any outside party as a business partner in ERP. So whether it be vendor, whether it be contractor, or whether it be a customer, so everything is a business partner. And you will be able to see that we always have a partner code and a partner name. Right? Probably I would want to see them next to each other. So that is business partner name and partner code. And then there is document number. So document number is the typical voucher number in Tally, right? It's an internal reference number for each screen. So it's always unique. And you will always have this vendor invoice number, which is an external reference number what our vendors or contractors are submitting. This is primarily for our GST uh, input matching. And then we have the typical description, and then there is an internal invoice date, which is the date on which we are recording the invoice, like an accounting date. And then you have certain fields like project and block. I want to show the net amount and gross amount. It is hidden. Yeah, we covered that in the beginning, but like one more feature is there where, like I was telling, Mitesh and team, if we can drag and drop, hide some fields, display some fields as per our repeated use case. But one thing we need to do is we need to save that view. Let's say if I have a view that I want to start with always, see, we can just save that view, give it a name. Let's say audit team view, right? And every time you come back, that will be the view you will see, right? And you can keep updating also. Let's say after a week you think that if I add this field also, it will be helpful for me. You add it and you save that to our view, so you will always have your own view, right? For example, I'm just saving this. So the reason I just wanted to go through on these fields is this is like GST difference, right? Net amount and yeah. So wherever there is a let me take something more recent. What you are seeing are all opening balances. That's why there is no GST. So let me take month of October. Uh, and by the way, all of these fields on the top, what you see are, no, are filterable, right? So depending on the type of the data, right? So if it is a text, you can just keep typing what you want, and it will filter out by that. And let's say if it is a number, you can use greater than symbols also. For example, let's say gross amount. So here you can use greater than symbol and C as well. And they are sortable. If they are numbers or text, there is sort enabled also. So you can sort by different fields. And these two are also will be somewhat relevant, like what is outstanding on each bill, what is the current position. So these are all related fields. Correct. It's an internal accounting date, you can say. Yes, yes. So it's our business case, right? So we have initially thought of putting that restriction, but as you know, our business has a dependency on the courier, right? Where the bill comes from our let's say Chennai or Hyderabad offices to Bangalore office. So since that happens, there is always a need for us to put a backdated entry, right? And I also have come across certain cases where, especially in the year switch, like March to April, when we are switching, like what happens is March bills may come in around April, and this time, unfortunately, we got it till June also due to the lockdown. So in such cases, also ideally, we want to book our expenses in March in the last financial year. Maybe there is some statutory limitation; all the expenses have to be booked in that fiscal year only. So these use cases are unavailable. So for that reason, we had to enable the backdated entry. Right? But that option is there. We can restrict that, and our intention is to go to a period concept, right? wherein you keep closing one by one period, and once that period is closed, you cannot make any backdated entries into that period. So, for example, October is there. Right now, October period is open in our ERP. Maybe by November mid, if we are in a position, we can close the November October period. Once we close, their system will not allow any entries in October anymore. So we want to slowly come to a stage where we follow a period closing process. It maybe not every month, maybe every quarter we can do that. So quarter one is completely closed. That means no more entries can be posted in quarter one. So we want to go to that stage. Okay, so I got it. So what you are saying is, see, there are two dates called as creation date and a internal invoice date. So creation date is when that is not in user control, right? So that is always system generated. So system always tags that, hey, this let for example, let's open this entry. This says let me see the internal invoice date. Huh. But we don't have any use case where we keep accounting date and internal invoice date different. Usually we keep them same. But what you asked is a question, right, where you want to see the audit actually when the entry happened. See, that comes as part of, see, there is in audit trail, we always have a creation date. Okay. So these fields what you see are not in anyone's control. So these are automatically tagged by the ERP. Let's say Venkateswamy has logged in and he entered. So his name gets recorded automatically. So no one can change this. And there was, I think, probably some automatic program that has updated it on 16th of November. Maybe a bank reconciliation program or some program might have updated it. And system has picked that up and it has tagged it saying that this has been updated on so and so date, last updated date. So these fields are not user enterable. These are auto populated by the system based on who is logging in and when he is doing the action. Mhm. So that is what you are asking is an incremental update. So that usually is a high or it has a, I think in Tally there is a function of audit, where you can see all the updates, but it comes with a cost on data, right? Everything gets logged. So for that reason, we chose to keep only the last updated date. We didn't want to go with the complete audit functionality, where a lot of it's essentially a replica of every record that gets saved. So the database size increases very fast. So right now it only shows the last updated date and the creation date. Yeah. Yeah. So let's say if I make any change to it, let's say I unpost it and had made some correction and post it again. So my name will get tagged here. Yeah, so business partner, I think those nomenclatures are very much aware to them. But I wanted to quickly touch upon an important aspect. Like what, if I were an auditor, what will be the important fields that I will be looking at? And uh, the date filter I have showed, right? See, I wanted to take a couple of examples. Mm, Let me take any. Okay, Hakimi books. Okay, so here you can see, right? So this is a 5,000 rupees base price bill that we have got, and you will be able to see the consolidated tax value here, which is 9%, right? 9% of CGST, 9% of SGST sum. And if line level, let's say we have two lines and each line has a different tax, that also can be seen, can be reviewed at each line level. So you can see line 1, and that's it. I click on line 2, it will show that line specific tax also. So that is how you can review and navigate on the purchase invoice screen. And one point you might already know, but I can just talk about that is, see, in our ERP there are two views for any record. One is like a typical Excel, it's called a record view. That is where you can see all records in one shot, like what we are seeing now. And this applies to all screens, whether it be lines or headers or any screen. And if you double click on any line, it takes you to a form view, right, wherein you can see like a typical entry form where the entry happens. That's how you can see organization, business partner name, ledger balance, and what is the description our team has entered. Of course, you will have everything in a grayed out field, which means no update will be allowed from your logins. So accidentally if something happens also, you don't have to worry. So no updates will get posted. But these two views always help. Like for example, I want to see the whole record in one shot. I would rather open in a form view and scroll down and see rather than scrolling to the right. So again, it's again everyone will have their own personal preferences, but that's how it will work. That's about the purchase invoice screen. Yes. Mhm. 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 Yes, yes. So, yes, so like for example, let's say 003/2021 is a vendor invoice number that our vendor has submitted, right? So now if someone tries to create a new invoice, for example, I can try that out right now. In any organization, not just in the same organization, even in any organization, if I try to Hakimi, let's see which Hakimi, Hakimi tools syndicate. See, it doesn't allow you to save. So this is typically to avoid any accidental resubmission of bills, because we courier bills multiple times. Or sometimes we courier a bill that since previously we are on a manual platform, there used to be a chance of okay, the bill came again second time after 3 months. So accidentally the bill was re-entered without cross-checking. Or our team had to invest a lot of time in reviewing the old bills and see whether the reference number already exists or not. But now we have uh, in place a check to avoid such things across all organizations, not just in this organization. So in fact, this took a while to enable. Yeah, no, this actually is very good feature that we had, because we had practical instances where accidentally, especially when teams change. No, let's say one person has left, unfortunately, I think in May or June, and a new team. Especially this happens when new team members join, because there is a phase of transition for them. they kind of skip some details. They can't say it as soon, let's say, as soon as new joinee comes. I, as a new joinee, will not know that hey, this might happen. I might not do the check. So such times these kind of things have happened, and it took a while for us to enable this check because we had to migrate a lot of data. No? So we had to make sure all the migrated data are also unique. So the way this check works is if there is any unclean data, the check cannot be enabled. So it forces us to clean up our history also. So we did that, and after that we enabled it. Mm, 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 mm. Okay. So that's a good question. In fact, we have considered that, but when we did some analysis, it happened to be a one-off case, that too on the vendor side. Vendor had actually submitted a different sequence in bill. So what we thought is, see, we can always, yeah. So what we have interpreted is, yes, the check is very easy to do, right? Because see, every check is nothing but a if else greater than less than, right? So the checks are easy to do. But what we thought is, see, there are two problems here. One is not all vendor invoice numbers are numerical in nature, right? And second is sometimes, let's say, vendor has gone into a different system or a different ERP. So since the uh, GST rules are not so complicated, not so enforcing, they end up resetting their sequence numbers also in between the year. So what we thought is, we can enable this check, but we left it to the business. If we want to enable, it's up to your decision. But we can always go by the date. The date check we can always do. Let's say vendor invoice date can never be in a cross sequence, right? I cannot enter a July bill now, and after 2 months I cannot enter a June bill. Right? That definitely should not happen. Right? That will only mean that we either have accidentally forgot to enter a bill, or our bill processing has a gap. So it will that is a process that we will have to fix. Right? So that check we have said that yes we can do, but invoice number check is something that is questionable whether we can enable it or not, because it is a character based string. It's not a numerical number in nature. And I think this is one input, right? See, as an auditing team, he will be giving us some valuable controls and governances that we can implement as part of our ERP, right? So we are all ears, and we have these kind of a continuous improvement teams in place wherein we'll keep implementing some checks that will make everyone's job much easier, right? When we do it right for the first time, the amount of effort anyone has to put while reviewing goes down significantly, which is what the biggest benefit we want to achieve out of this, right? So right now, till now, we are in a place where every bill gets reviewed the same amount of time, let's say 10 minutes by each reviewer. But when all the checks are in the system, the review amount will significantly go down. People can blindly trust, hey, if it is coming from ERP, I can be as good as assured that hey, this has gone through multiple level of checks and it is clean. And one more, just this is out of context, but see, right now most of the bills are being entered by our accounts guys. Right? As you can see here, so they have to choose the account, they have to enter the amounts. But going forward, we are going to a place where the bill gets generated from the order automatically, right? Based on all the settings. Like let's say if I'm choosing a product called cement is tagged to a ledger, and when the bill gets generated automatically, the expense is booked in construction and services, let's say cement. So that tagging and all these setups help generate the bill automatically. So by this way, what we feel is the human intervention is gone, right? So the decision making is mainly done by the computer, by the system boards, right? All our accounts team will be doing at the end is verifying the accounting entry, and if everything seems good, they just have to post it. So this way, what we feel is our process will be more system dependent and not people dependent. And slowly, we will be in a position where system will be governing our most of our automations. So these kind of mistakes or human mistakes will completely go down. Okay. So right now, no, but we have that is an additional input field our team. So we didn't want to overload them. But if you see here, there will be. Let me open any one invoice. Okay, better let me enter a new invoice and show. See, okay. So from a cash flow point of view, yes, there is a field called nature of expenses. I think what gets reported in a cash flow, right? So whether it is a receive or collection, or let's say whether it is a construction expense, or whether it is marketing expense, there is a classificational field. I forgot where. I think that's a recent change we have done. Arvind, is that already in live or it is? It's in payments. Yeah, yeah. So that's in payments. It's, yeah, yeah. So maybe I think that's not what then you are asking, right, man? So are you asking something like classification, just classification of the document? Yeah. See here you can see all the admin expenses will be recorded as admin bills. Anything related to asset hiring, or sorry, this is related to asset purchase. Okay, that is in payment out. So anyway, in the next screen I will show you that. So we have a classification there. Okay. Cash basis we have that field. We have for our cash flow purpose we have a nature of expense or nature of transaction field, which decides which transaction is what, and it is filterable also. Yeah. So yes, yes. In future, if let's say we need that classification on accrual, we can do that in accrual also. So this is about purchase invoice, right? And I'm sure you will have many more questions once you start reviewing the data and trying to analyze the data. But I don't want to spend much time on that. The first screen I have spent a lot of time because it helps you understand what fields are what is a business partner. I think the functional fields are all known to you guys, right? What is net amount, what is gross amount, what is outstanding. They are all known to you, so I don't have to talk about that. What we saw just now is purchase invoice screen. Similarly, we have a screen called sales invoice where all our receivables, customer related entries are done. So here also everything is the same. So this sales invoice screen, there is one. This is again similar to that screen, but there is one difference here. That is, you guys already have access to this screen for reviewing the CRM data, if I'm not wrong. So the reason you see both the data in the same screen is, as you know, there is a reconciliation that we are trying to do between what a CRM department has and what accounts department has, right? Because there is a typical, let's say, 3 to 4 days of lead time between these two data sets, and whenever there is a lead time, always you are going behind a moving target. So in the beginning, since there are a lot of efforts going on, we couldn't completely reconcile and bring it into ERP. So we didn't have a choice to do that. So we resorted to a place where we bring both the systems separately. Right? So CRM has its own version of their records, and accounts has its own version of records. So right now we are trying to put a reconciliation process in place wherein we match one-to-one record, and we are trying to also address the challenges because accounts has in its accounts has been migrated with opening balances, but whereas CRM has all the historical transactions also since the beginning of the customer's transaction, let's say 2014-13. So we are trying to juggle those challenges and figure out a way to reconcile those two. But until the reconciliation happens, you will always see two versions, right? And it's easy to filter them also. What we have did is we have given a different set of document types for both of them, so that way we don't want them to cross step on each other's data sets. So whatever you see as starting with AR, no, AR invoice, AR credit memo, AR debit memo, all these are created by our CRM department. And whatever our accounts team is creating, we have asked them to use the term manual, so that it is very much evident for them to see that, okay, this is the GST invoice that our accounts team has created. And this when you are reviewing our let's say trial balances, or let's say collections or undue collections, so this data will be what you will be verifying. So anything that has manual term, I wanted to tell that because you will be using the same screen to access both the data sets. So it might be a little bit confusing in the beginning, but we have our team has took a couple of days to get used to that practice. So now they are very much in sync with that. Okay, as soon as our account guy logs in, he knows that, okay, I need to use manual for anything I do. And for CRM, anyway, they don't enter it. CRM has a process which automatically generates all the data that they are using. So everything else stays the same, right? So there is a header, and there is a amounts, and there are lines, and each line will have its own tax amount. If it's a single milestone, it might be single line. If it is multiple milestones, it might be two lines. And you will have a tax summary here. And finally, you will have an accounting entry. Okay. Yeah. So see, the only way we have to do is not as in they. So we are doing it together. Actually, three teams are sitting together. Let's say if I have to do for Chennai residential developers, three people or three representatives. It's one from the CRM team, one from our accounts team, and one from the ERP team. Because we will need all three teams' inputs or support. Let's say maybe some reconciliation effort is CRM team will be able to validate their own records. Accounts team will be able to validate their own records, and they too can talk to each other and say that, hey, this entry is missed. So I have one entry backlog. I need to quickly enter it, or maybe we mark it as not entered. So that is what they do. They actually sit and do. And ERP team comes into place wherein, let's say, there is a quick analysis that they need to do. Maybe they need to export a set of data into Excel to do the analysis, or they want to update some reference numbers which will help in future tagging, right? So maybe there is no reference number now in all our accounts books. Maybe we want to update a reference number in the description, tagging to CRM. So such kind of back-end updates are supported by our ERP team, right? But bottom time it's always same, right? Any reconciliation happens record by record. So we go customer by customer. Actually, we pick a customer, we open it, and we see okay, what is the opening balance of that customer as on March, and what is the eventual bills that have been posted and payments that have been collected, and we try to match it with the same version in CRM data, and we see most of the cases it's a backlog that has been missed, right? So one payment that has been cleared, it is in suspense. We just have to move it to, we have to give that credit to that customer. Once the credit is given, the ledger is balanced. So that is the process we want to follow for the reconciliation. So company by company, customer by customer. Yeah, correct. So it will be a linked, it will be a one-to-one linked item. So the future process, so once the reconciliation is done, the process is going to work like this. We are going to take a cutoff. Let's say 30th November is the cutoff. So we are going to take that as a cutoff, and the reconciliation team will sit and reconcile everything before 30th November. So their job will be to make sure as on 30th November the balances of both CRM and the accounts team will be same. So once they do that, they are going to disable one of the ledgers, which will become redundant from that day onwards. And after the cutoff, the process is going to work like this. Our CRM team is will follow the same steps, but it will create a proforma invoice, and that proforma invoice will be converted to an invoice by accounts team. So there is always a link. Let's say CRM team has given a proforma invoice. So at any point, our process will be able to identify, let's say 10 crores proforma invoices are created in this month, and out of that, let's say 9.67 crores have been converted by accounts. So this way, we want to create a task list for our individual team members. So as soon as CRM, let's say technical milestone is completed, a task gets added to our sales CRM team saying that, hey, you have to raise 10 milestones. And once they finish their task, next task gets added to our accounts team. Hey, 10 proforma invoices have been issued by a CRM team. Now it's your job to account the 10 invoices. So this is the process that we are following after the cutoff. So you will not see two versions once the cutoff is done. You will see only one version of them. Correct, correct. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, AGR is the project we have done because that is the biggest project we wanted to do to get the comfort level of repeating the same for the remaining project seats. AGR is since 2013 or 14. It's operational since 2013-14. So we have had a go at that project first to get the confidence. So we have taken cutoff of 31st of July. Okay, no, this is a trial cutoff as in, so this is not live cutoff. So before we embark on the real reconciliation exercise, we wanted to see what it takes to, because let's say is it a 1 rupee difference, or is it a 10 rupees difference? Depending on that, our correction increase, or there could be impact on our cash flows, or there could be impact on our process some processes have to be redesigned. Right? So we wanted to do a pilot cutoff for one big project to get the learning out of it and form our reconciliation process. So these cutoff, so when we did the reconciliation, these guys have actually taken a clone of our systems. So they have taken a clone of these systems and as in test instances. So like you can see, we have multiple test instances called stage and test. So we have taken a copy of 31st July, and the reconciliation team has evaluated how many differences are there, what will it take, and they have done a mock. Yeah, I think that not pilot, I would say mock is the correct term, where they have done that exercise. Yes. So we have identified and we have presented all the findings and what kind of entries have to be passed, what will be the impact on our cash flows, what kind of process changes have to be done, especially on the BRS bank reconciliations or RTGS so we have seen a lot of challenges in terms of identifying the suspense entries, right? Because uh, unless the person who is doing BRS has a direct transparency into the collection uh, information received by our customer relationship team, they will not be in a position to identify who is paying that money. Okay? So that is one of the biggest learning we had seen. So we have put in BRS processes in such a way that the suspense entry can be made if nothing is identified. And how can CRM team access the suspense report, saying that what are our entries they accounts team could not identify. Basically, we have bridged the gap where the information is available to each other without talking to each other. Right? Till now, the process was everyone had to send an email or pick up his phone and call. But now we are in a position where they know the accounts team wants to see what all collection figures that might have happened. Right? So we have trained them saying that hey, after the live cutoff, you don't have to enter the receipt. All the receipts will be entered by them. You just have to post them into your financial account, like bank reconciliation screen, saying that hey, this has been reconciled in my bank. This is still pending. So that way, we always know what is my unrecognized or unrealized collection. Let's say there are 10 checks that have been given. CRM team has entered those 10 checks, and accounts team will have a list of all the 10 checks that are undeposited at any time. And similarly, CRM team will have a list of all online deposits that have come to us, which are unidentified. So they have a suspense report where they can see the transaction reference number, description, and date, and they will be able to cross check with the customer and say that hey, I have got a deposit. Is it you that have been paid? Mhm. Yes. So for a, let's say if I talk about a CRM invoice, the typical approval hierarchy is, see, we have a very good hierarchy in terms of expense, but in terms of billing we have, or as in terms of sales, we have a minimal hierarchy. So I can quickly explain what are who all parties review that. Let's say if it is a bill, it actually is entered by a site person. Right? There is a site accountant who sits there. He is the person who will actually receive the bill, and he will, in fact, even before him, even the stores person, if it is a purchase, stores person also gets access to the bill. He enters the GRM, goods receipt note, and in goods receipt note he will enter basic details like vendor invoice number, vendor date, and all those details, and the site accountant converts that into an invoice. So he verifies it at the second level, and once site account. Correct, but not in the same screen. He has a, so what happens is his rights are limited only for entry, not for posting, right? Mhm. Yes. So every bill comes with a drill down structure, right? So let's say I will try to see if there is. I think one project already has certain bills that might have come in. I'll try to open it. So how it works is, so for example, this is a bill. This is not yet posted, but you will be able to. It's not in a report format, but maybe we will be able to present it in a single screen to make it much easier for the verifier. But right now, how it works is you can see that each screen is a document. This is the invoice that is entered by the site team. If you go to the audit section, it shows Jay Chandan from site has entered it. Okay. 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 Yeah, I think that designation is what will help you. So as I said, maybe we might have to. We think of putting maybe a review screen where you can just see the list of people who have touched that document, right, along with their roles within the organization. Right? Let's say he's a QS and billing person, right? Quantity surveying and billing. Mm, mm, mm. Yes, yes, yeah. So the second level is here. You will be able to go through here. I'm just trying to see the reference of order number. Yeah. So here you will be able to see the. You will be able to navigate to the order. Who approved the order? And in order you will be able to see like who has created it, who has approved it. Correct, correct. So you what as you said, what will help you is if let's say these kind of lists come in a single place. Right? Yeah, name, not just the code, name and designation. Correct. So that will be easier to review and validate quickly. I think that's a good input. We'll put it in our change requests screen so that in couple of next couple 1 or 2 weeks we'll be able to pick it up and finish that. Okay. So this is about sales invoice screen, right? So I don't want to go into each tab because they all will be similar to purchase invoice screen. So we have covered two screens. Let me quickly finish up the other two screens also. Since we are running out of time, I want to spend some more time on the reports. Payment in and payment out. There are two screens called payment in and payment out, which are actually related to our financial transactions, bank transactions, right? So here you will be able to see all the payment ins, which means our collections, right? So you will see collections and refunds as part of these. And in payments out, you will be able to see all our expense payments or any kind of advance payments or expense payments or purchase payments. All payments will be part of the screen. And in this screen only, we have that field of nature of expense. Yeah, you can see here nature of expense. Let's see, right now we have not made it mandatory because we are just waiting for our team's confirmation on the list of values, right? Then we'll make this mandatory. That way, anyone making an entry, he will have to classify this as whether it is construction expenses, marketing expenses, or any level. Let's say it can be 4 levels, or if you want to be detailed, we can take it to 10 levels also. So this will help in analyzing our cash flow. So this is about payment in and payment out. So in here also you will have the same field, but here I think it's instead of expenses, it is most likely collections, right? We will call it as a collection. Either it will be a collection or it will be a miscellaneous income. Right? That's all. So this is about payment in and payment out screen. Here usually I think the one important field you can see is lines. If I pick any payment that is done recently, yeah. See, every payment will have a split now. Like on top it will show us what is the amount that has been paid for, and at the bottom it shows whether it is an advance or it is paid against a bill. So if it is paid against a bill, you will see the list of bill numbers here, and what is the amounts and what is the TDS deductions against each bill. You will be able to see that details here. Typically TDS details are done in the bill itself. Only in cases of advances TDS is recorded in payments. But if it is a bill, usually TDS amount is deducted in the bill itself. In bill only we account for the TDS deduction, and only the remaining outstanding comes up here, and we pay that amount if it is for an invoice. Let me see if I can quickly show something that has been paid against an invoice recently on advances. Okay, but you will see if the invoice number has a value here, typically that is a payment done against a bill, and you will also be able to see vendor invoice number and vendor invoice date at the end if it is done. Maybe all the recent payments are against advances, that's why I'm not able to find that. But okay, so that is how the payment in and payment out screens are structured. And there is a fifth screen which is used for ad hoc or non-party related entries, which is simple GL journal screen. Okay. So this usually is a, you can think of it as a direct journal entry. Right? So this could be some kind of a provisional expense, or it could be a, let's say salary payable, or maybe some NMR payable pages, or maybe a equity receipt. So such things which are non-party related, typically the other four screens are used for daily expenses or party related transactions, business party, customers, vendors, or when contractors or service providers. So all such entries are used in the four screens. But this screen is used for anything that doesn't fit in those four screens. Like maybe I got a let me see one. So this is a provisional expense for the month of rent expense booking. So the booking is done here, and the payment is made in payment out screen. So typically, if I have to put typically 10% of entries usually happen here, 90% of entries happen in those four screens only. And here not additional, there will be very minimal additional details like outstanding, all those figures will not be there, because these are not party related ones. It's a plain and simple account, debit and credit. All system checks is whether it is a balanced entry or not. It is like a simple tally entry. In fact, if I have to refer to it, it is like a simple tally replica. Right? So you are just choosing an account, you are putting a debit, you are choosing another account, putting a credit, and you are making sure that it is a balanced entry. That's it. So now let me. So we have talked about these five screens. Now let me quickly talk about these four reports. I will start with bank. So bank ledger screen is a typical report. Right? So you can choose any date range. Let me take 1st October. And the purpose of this is you can choose any organization. I can see all the organizations, but you will see only the organizations that uh, you want access to. I think those are five or six list of companies that need to be accessed. Let's say, let me take business parks, and then it will list down all the bank accounts along with the interest accounts. Interest accounts, of course, those are cash books, so you don't have to verify them. But all the other escrow accounts or expense accounts will be listed down here. You can choose anything, and you can either export to Excel or see it on the screen itself. So this typically gives an export of all the entries in the bank, reconciled and unreconciled both, right, along with the status details. And I'll give you guys some time. You can verify this, and if you feel that hey, if you add this field, it will help us. It will be easier for you guys and us also to verify. We have definitely. So in fact, there was a learning curve. We have added two or three fields additionally after using it for a couple of months. It is at a very good stage right now, and if any additional fields need to be added also, we will definitely do that very quickly. So you can verify this and see how you are able to interpret, and if you have any doubts, you can let us know. So this will show all the reconciled and unreconciled entries also. So this will typically match with our trial balance, right? Our book balance. Whatever comes in this report typically matches with our book balance. Whereas there is another report. This is meant for this is primarily to match with the reconciled bank statement. So here the primary focus will be on so here typically it is the purpose of this statement is to match as per our bank statement. So you can see the entries here, right? Balance as per company books, amount not reflected in bank. So the purpose of this is to see next to the bank statement. If I put this next to my bank statement, I should be able to verify one line to line. The total debits and credits should match. That is the purpose of this. And just as a disclaimer, as you see here, you will see a lot of values not reflected in bank currently, because remember in Friday's meeting I have discussed on one point extensively. April, May, June entries we are reconciling right now. So you might see some differences, some entries which are not yet reconciled, marked as reconciled, but that also, except for I think 200 odd entries, everything else has been marked reconciled. So you will not see that problem. I think I might have picked yeah, projects LLP. So this is about reconciled statement. And now coming to the most top level item, right? Trial balance. So trial balance, I think the most useful report you guys, the most useful report for any analysis purpose is the drill down trial balance report. It's actually an on-screen trial balance where you can drill down till the transaction level. So for example, I want to see, uh, let's say, sorry, I'm picking November month. Okay, and you can take business parts. So typically, if I am interested in reviewing the business partners, I do that, especially for vendors. If not, we just leave it at that level and we take it without business partners. So what you see here is an on-screen trial balance. By the this is also exportable, right? You can export this to Excel. But the reason why we want to, let's say, export it to Excel and then maybe in Excel flag, let's say, random sample of 13 accounts that you want to review, and come to this screen, and you can always go and drill down. So, for example, I want to review. Um, I'm trying to pick something that has a lot of debit and credit. Let's say advance from customers, right? Typically, this is a collection account, I believe. So if I want to drill down, you can just click on the link. It directly navigates you to the details of these 47, right? See what we have here is, I think, 4 crore 68 lakhs. So here in the second tab, it opens, gives you the details of those. Here also you can export it to Excel, and on screen also you will be able to review. So just you may have to get used to a small fact here. So since this is an on-screen record now, it comes in pages, right? So it can't display everything in one shot. So it displays in pages. That's why you see this yellow arrow. It takes you from page 1, page 2, page 3. So typically we end up using Excel because it can give you the complete list of that 4 crore 68 lakhs in a single screen. So here you will be able to export it to Excel and you will be able to verify that there. So all of the details are here and you will be able to verify that. You can see here 4 lakh 68, sorry, 4 crore 68 lakh 16,712. So these are the details of that total credit that we have saw just now. Okay. So this will, I think this is my favorite in terms of verifying. Right? In the beginning, as you know, there will be a lot of reconciliation exercises we have to do, especially when some entries are being passed by, let's say, TDS deposit. We are uh, we are at the initial of the month. Let's say November 3rd. October TDS is being reviewed. Our team has some doubts. Hey, I am able to see in TDS report 10 lakhs, but when I go to trial balance, I am able to see only 9.5 lakhs. Where is the 50,000 difference? So for all such cases, we typically end up using these reports. So we go here, we extract and try to match one by one and see if there is one entry that has a difference, or it is entered in an unstandard way. That's why it is not coming in that report in this report. So we try to use this for reconciling a lot of queries that come from our user, and I'm sure you will be also able to do this as per your interest, right? So maybe I took a collection example, but you will be able to do the same with any account. Let's say you want to go to any expense or sundry creditors and you want to see what are all the bills and payments done. So you will be able to do that here. So you will be able to pick any account and you can drill down. Right? So here it is a bank. Right? So even in bank also you will be able to drill down. But for bank, I think the bank reconciled and those reports are more informative. But you can still do the same here. So this is our on-screen trial balance report. And here you have one small feature I wanted to tell. That is, um, so we have our accounting structure is defined into 4 levels. So you will be able to, let's say you want to review at the topmost level, you will be able to do that. Let's say I want to only review my trial balance at a header level. So this is more like it looks like a balance sheet in a way, if you ask me. So it will only show the top level items. Sometimes it may take 1 or 2 seconds. this is our so you will see number of entries have reduced now. This is our I will say. So what you saw previously was the lowest level is sub account level, and the lowest but one account is account, and on top of that is breakdown. And let me do the same for heading now. Heading is even lesser. Right? Yeah. So heading will be even lesser. Sorry. Correct, correct. So there might be one difference that you might have seen. Let's see, in Tally we have, for example, I think your team is auditing our business parks, I think Chennai residential developers and urban race projects NLP. I'm just taking three entities I know. So in Tally we have different structures for all these three companies. Correct? So I might have different grouping. So since everything has its own chart of accounts, the grouping ended up differently for each Tally account. However, when we brought everything to ERP, we have standardized. So we have a single chart of accounts now for all our entities, all our accounts. So not just these three, so all our operating units or all our operating level entities, for all entities we have a single chart of account, which means that you might see some kind of a standardization being done. Right? So maybe let's say there are, in fact, it actually might have made into more groups when standardization happened, but not less. So I don't think of I can't think of a scenario where we have clubbed two groups into one when moving from Tally to Openbravo. So always it was a one-to-one mapping. In fact, there were cases where some groups were like, let's say, sundry material others was there in one, but there was no sundry material others group in other account in another company. But we have put everything into a single structure now. So it will be, in fact, more than what you have seen in Tally. Our structure will be more standardized, and it is more. Maybe I think we may give you access to another screen in read-only mode. So maybe you will be able to appreciate more of what we have done. So this is our accounting tree actually. So we have standardized. So this is our accounting tree for all companies right now, and we want to use the same structure. Right? Unlike in Tally, everyone had different opinion, and sometimes someone grouped it differently, or they have created a new group for the same item. So such kind of duplications happened in Tally, but now that won't happen because only single team has it. Like a manager level team only has access to this screen, and if anyone wants to add new groups to this, they will have to go to that team. So it's a centralized maintenance of chart of accounts. Maybe we will give you access to these also so that you can verify how we have designed our chart of accounts. Right? And if you feel that okay, maybe if you split certain type of expenses into two groups, it will be easier for you also to track and forecast, and for us also to track and verify. We will be open to do that. Of course, the disclaimer there would be that classification will apply for all our future expenses or future entries, or not for the historical ones, because we are regrouping it. But you will be able to drill down and see how our structure looks like right now. This is about our advanced as in the on-screen trial balance report. But we have also added one more trial balance, especially to facilitate all our print. Let's say we have to share something to our external stakeholders or to you guys. So we wanted to facilitate that. So Arvind, what was the name of that? It's advanced trial balance. Huh? That's not in. Okay, okay. Okay, okay. Let me show it in stage then for you. So we have deployed it only in our. testing environment now, so that once our users are comfortable with that, we put it in live. So this is mainly to facilitate a similar to Tally experience. Right? So we wanted to let's say we generate a trial balance. So was Rovico. So okay, the look and feel is similar to this software. Okay. So don't bother the time because our test instances are a bit slower systems, obviously, because it is a test environment. Not so many users will be working on it. So we give a smaller server. That's why it takes a longer time there. So while it generates, let me try to give it in a verbal way. See, the purpose of this is in Tally how you can expand and collapse. No? Right? You start with the top level, let's say assets, equities, liabilities, and you see the total debit and credit at that level. You drill down, it takes you to the next level debit and credit until the last level. Correct? So we try to give similar kind of exposure here. Right? So someone will be able to verify the debits and credits to the extent he or she wants to see. So where is this 10,500 coming from? So obviously it is not coming from here. So it is coming from intangible assets. Okay, so I'll go into intangible assets. I'll go into the software. And within software, it is coming from this account. So we try to give a on-screen expand collapse option for someone to zero down onto their particular interested account. Okay. For example, I see a total debit and credit of this much. So it is coming mainly from current assets. So I'll go into current assets and see. And mainly it is coming from cash and cash equivalents. So a person will be able to drill down and it will facilitate them to make a decision looking at the expand collapse option rather than seeing it all the accounts. This is what we call the advanced trial balance. And here again we have the option of print. So usually in print, it exactly comes as Tally. Right? In Tally, typically you have indentation and you have the debits and credits coming now. Like where you get an account code and you get indentations and bolds, and you will get final accounts in non-bold. So we try to give the same feature here. So anytime, let's say you can export it and maybe you can apply some filters and you will be able to review it here itself. Okay, so that's all about the trial balance reports. So one additional thing I will do is we will give you two more screens. That is the account tree, which I talked about, and there is one more screen. Maybe we will cover it in a later session. Once you have gone through all this, you will have some doubts. So we can have a second session when you guys want to set it up after spending some time on these screens. At that time, we will also cover a screen called financial screen, which is actually a bank screen, bank account screen. So I can quickly just show on a high level what that screen is about. It's actually a list of all our bank accounts. You have already seen the reports, right? These two reports. But the basis of that reports can be seen on screen itself in this financial account. So let's say I have a Canara Bank account. Let me take something that is more relevant. Chennai residential loans. So okay, let's take. So you see here, this is a thing 2021 account. What you see at the bottom are nothing but all the deposits and withdrawals. So this is another screen that might come in handy for quick verification. I don't think you will have to verify it because you have more formatted Excel options. But anytime if you need it, we will. What I'm doing is we'll also give access to this screen as well, so you can see if any of your use case can be met by this screen. And by the way, all screens are exportable. Anything you see on, no, see everything will have an export option. Right? So any screen that you are reviewing, it's all screens in Openbravo are CSV file exportable. Yeah, Arvind, you wanted to say something before closing. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So you have my number and Arvind's number, so you can call us anytime. Yeah, yeah, I think we'll do that. See, I'll create a group. Maybe Nitesh, I will add you, and you can add the rest of the team members in the same group. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, what couple of things we will do today after this call is one, we will confirm you over email once the accesses are added to your particular logins, and along with that, I will be sending a recording, a link to the recording